guys, Foxy here. This will be part 9 of What If Izuku was a wolf dog from The Walking Dead. Now, I do hope you guys enjoy this video. And I don't know if my ear got better or worse. There isn't that sharp pain in my ear anymore. So I think I'm good. No ear infection here. Just shove the Q-tip too far up my ear. Either way, yeah, I'm completely fine, and I think that's it. I have nothing else to say, but I am working on what if Naruto was in My Little Pony. Bringing out a few details. I have the beginning so far, what I want from it completed, and yeah. Now guys, I haven't gotten into the complete lore, or, everything that deals with My Little Ponies yet. It has been like, how many years has it been? Like 2-3 years since I last watched My Little Pony. And recently I have gotten into it, just rewatching it. But please remember, I do not have a TV to actually watch My Little Pony on. The only TV that I do have is out in the living room. And my little brother and my dad has full control over the TV. And they don't like anyone using their TVs. Because one, my dad plays games on there. Two, my little brother watches videos or movies on there. And he's currently like 6, 7. And he's very territorial over the TV. I mean, he yells, screams, and he does not like anyone touching the TV or the remotes. Yeah. Either way, and my computer, well, honestly, I could watch My Little Pony on my Chromebook. Actually, I really should start doing that. But then there comes the posing issue of there might not be full episodes of My Little Pony on there. But you know what? After I'm done making my videos here, I'll see if My Little Pony is actually on YouTube and see if there are full episodes. If there are, well, we just hit the glory stage. But I'm really gonna hate the ads. I hate ads. You know what? I mean, guys, just ads are completely terrible. Especially on YouTube. They're just, nope, don't like them. But I've been talking way too long. Let's get into the video, shall we? Our POV. Rick was not having the best of nights. Or days. Or hell, not even in a few months. First getting shot, then placed into a hospital, then waking up realizing, oh, the apocalypse came, then having a near heart attack when he couldn't find his family, but when he did, oh my god, his heart felt complete, and the weight on his shoulders slid right off. For only a few moments when he realized, oh, we left Merle on the rooftop, and we have a brother to get to. But now it feels like there's more weight on his shoulders. He has people to take care of now, not just his family. And the issue with Daryl, it was a difficult situation. Rick knew that he, messed up with Daryl. And Rick could have done something. Could have unchained Merle before he left. He could have done something. It was one big mistake after another. But hopefully now, Merle is still alive, kicking and swinging out there, and hopefully not dead, or one of the walkers. But today was a brand new day, and hopefully they'll be able to stay here for a while now. And that thought felt like a jinx on himself. He got up, feeling the headache from last night's drinking kicking him in the ass. He looked to his left. He saw his wife, sleeping, hair all fuzzed up from the bed. Then he looked to the right and saw his son in a similar condition. Rick couldn't help but giggle. It was funny. Usually his wife's hair was neat and combed, and just had the perfect amount of volume to it to look nice. But now, after tossing and turning in bed all night, his wife's hair is all, tangled and messed up. making a funny picture. And his son had the same habit of his wife, while Rick himself slept like a corpse in bed. Rick slowly got out of bed, feeling all the aches and pains of his career and of the apocalypse. When he walked out of the door, he saw the green dog walking down the hallway. His tail was up in the air, wagging, not too much, but it had a sway to it, and his ears were perked up. And when Rick stepped out of the room, the dog's green eyes zoomed on him. And Rick can positively say that he has never seen a dog with green eyes like this one. Rick carefully let down his hand, letting the dog sniff it. The dog rubbed and sniffed at him. Rick couldn't help but laugh, but there's something nudging him. Not the dog, but something in his head. Something clearly told him that this was not a dog. It was something more. His instincts told him to flee or to respect the creature in front of him, while his logical side said there's no way for this dog to be anything else but a dog. Maybe a deformed one? Something. The dog doesn't look normal. For Izuku, he was tired. He wanted to go up to the stairs and get away from Dr. Jenner. He was so mad. Mad because, everything. He couldn't see everything on the laptop, but what he can realize is that he was shocked with electricity again and again, and they poured liquids and chemicals into his bloodstream, messing something up. But he only could get through a few logs and documents before Daryl was all grouchy and mumbling. But still, there was not a full picture. Why couldn't he remember? Who was Dr. Jenner's wife? Who was she? What was she? What was her mission for Izuku? What happened to him when he came into this world? All of this thinking tore at Izuku's mind. Why did he become a dog? Much less, he should have become a human, reborn into a newborn's mind, and, forgot everything from his past life. But why couldn't he? It tore Izuku's head to pieces. But still, he just had to get away from Dr. Jenner. Izuku doesn't know what he would do to the poor guy, but he knew it wouldn't be such a good idea. For Dr. Jenner, today was a bad day. A good and bad day. Finally, his existence will end. He'll be with his wife soon, and it would be all painless. He wouldn't have to feel the hunger of starvation, nor the claws of depression tearing at his mind. He failed his wife. He failed because he couldn't just stay steady. Now, all the fresh everything was burned to ashes. And what was he kidding? Dr. Jenner wasn't even a good scientist. He wasn't even good at anything. Jenner didn't have any words for himself. All he could say was that he was a pathetic scientist. His wife was the genius of the laboratory. She had everyone under her nails. And she was talented, smart. With that idea, he remembered the dog. It wasn't a dog. Instead, it was a man. Dr. Jenner remembered the day where she brought in the boy. The boy was fading in between a young kid to an elderly man, and he was see-through as well. The man was, a soul in human form, fading in and out of existence, and flowing through memories of his ages. And Dr. Jenner remembered seeing the scars, the blood, the missing hands, and the cries and screams of the poor soul. But yet, his wife did something, and somehow took a corpse of a wolf, a pit bull, a Great Dane, and made, a new creature, then fused the soul of the man into the dog. And there came Izuku, or Subject 92. Jenner felt bad for the guy, because, Jenner doesn't know what exactly his wife did, but she did something to him, something to the mindset of that creature. Jenner only wished he understood more, knew more of the technicalities and his wife's mindset of why she did this, and how did the soul come out of nowhere. But Jenner was too much of a coward to look at his wife's epilogues, to see what was she thinking, what was she saying, what was going in her mind about this guy. But it doesn't matter any longer. His life is going to end. And maybe in the afterlife, he'll talk to his wife, understand more about her. But for now, he'll try to put everyone at ease, die with them. When Izuku finally woke up, all he could hear was, 1, no moving air, 2, blinding red lights, and something about something shutting down. Izuku stood up on an unsteady pause and marched towards where everyone should be. But instead of getting there, there was a metal door. Then Izuku heard it. Someone screaming, or more like people screaming, and something being slammed against the metal door. And finally, as if a freight train hit him head on, he realized what was happening. The building was going to shut down. And Izuku knew what happens to, buildings like these. Everything will be blown to pieces. Burn whatever is in this building. Izuku felt quite happy about stealing all the medicine and everything. Just every single little article that wasn't bolted down into his collar. Whew, he huffed as now he was circling around. What can he do? Then a shout filled the entire building. If you want to fucking escape, you should have asked the damn dog. That was clearly Dr. Jenner's voice. Then more unhearable voices and screams filled the room. 5 more minutes until the building implodes. And that just sent Izuku into a spiral. Izuku tried slamming his body against the door. But then he realized, wait, they'll get out. This group is smart. They'll find a way out. But for now, he needs to get everyone ready. He ran towards the rooms and shifted back into human form. He stuffed everything and anything into everyone's bags and threw them up to the surface. Then he went to the library, and he was hit with the scent of, Shane and Lori, with a few other scents as well. But theirs was the strongest. Scent of fear and something else. Izuku wasn't too sure, but he ignored it and ran towards the books. Books are important, right? So he quickly as he could, took all the books. Screw that. He took everything that he could get his hands on. 2 more minutes until implosion. Oh, fuck, Izuku muttered as he ran back to the metal doors. With one giant leap, he shifted back into his dog form and ran towards the doors. Quickly, he turned his body so his side would hit the door. And then a big bang happened. The door, or the metal door, was dented with his body. Again, he ran back and kept slamming his body against the door, again and again. His ribs ached with the pressure of the slams. Old wounds flared up and nearly sent Izuku spiraling on the floor. But he couldn't stop, not until they all escaped. Then the doors opened. Well, not fully, thanks to the big dents he left into the door. But everyone was staring at him, but Izuku's eyes only found Jenner. And everything bled red. He was angry, furious. His friends were almost hurt. He charged forward, and without Izuku's realization, he became larger. His once small little paws became as big as a pot. His body became the size of a small car, and his head was as big as a man's torso. He ran forward, his jaws opened wide, teeth gleaming bright white in the lights, his eyes nearly black. Came closer, and before he could snap at the doctor, someone jumped in his way. Well, more like jumped on Izuku. He growled as he was thrown onto his back. His claws scratched uselessly in the air, his tail thumping on the ground with large bangs. Some people were screaming. Someone was screaming. Izuku doesn't know who, but he was mad. But then, someone's voice came into his ears. "Fucking calm down, you damn animal." Then a harsh pull on his ear made him yip. "Get out of here!" Then something smacked him, and Izuku rolled over onto his belly, and the person fell off to the ground. Now, Izuku was mad. Even more, people were keeping him away from the man who hurt his friends. Izuku growled, his teeth pulled back in a vicious snarl. Then something slapped him in the nose. Izuku couldn't help but whimper. That hurt badly. He wanted to reel back, but all he could do was stay still because something grabbed at his collar, pulling him forward. Then something kept pulling on his ears, and all Izuku could do was whimper. Izuku realized long ago his ears and nose were overly sensitive, too sensitive to be normal. And Daryl was clearly using this to his advantage, because all Izuku could do was have his tail in between his legs as his ears kept being pulled on. All Izuku could hear was the ringing from his ears and Daryl's angry voice. But still, Izuku wanted to chomp down on Dr. Jenner. He hurt his friends. But something else happened. Without Izuku's realization, people kept pulling on his fur, dragging him away from Dr. Jenner and through the metal doors. With Dr. Jenner, he was scared out of his wits. The man, the wolf, the creature, was angry, eyes blazing green, nearly chomped his head off. All Dr. Jenner could do was shake in his boots as his back was pressed against a console. Then Rick was in front of him, guarding him. A part of Dr. Jenner felt grateful that someone was protecting him. But then he realized, this dog is going to be with them for a long time. It's best if they knew what he was exactly, and his abilities. Dr. Jenner looked at the bag that he brought in. It was just a regular old bag, brown and clearly worn down over time. And with a practiced motion, he pulled out a folder and handed it to Rick. "You gotta get out of here." And in that folder, it's all that you need to know about Izuku. With that, he sat down and waited for the countdown. There was a woman with him. He doesn't know her name, nor did he care to know. He was too tired to remember anything. All he wanted was to end this, to sleep for all eternity, for no pain, and to see his wife again. When Izuku was pulled out of the room, he realized that, well, he made a big mistake. His size barely could fit through the halls. So he shifted back, even though all he wanted to do was run and hide beneath his tail. But it was no use. The secret, or, well, one of his secrets was out in the open. And Shane was giving him dagger eyes, and Izuku really didn't like that. It didn't remind Izuku of his best friend, nor of anyone else. Instead, it felt like he was the prey. The eyes felt all wrong, but it didn't matter. They had to escape. They finally made it to the top, and to everyone's shock, their bags were there. And Izuku huffed in annoyance. Did they not realize that they were about to leave everything behind? I guess it didn't matter. Izuku and the rest of the men tried to open or break through the glass. But even though with Izuku's humongous size and strength, the glass wouldn't break. Izuku's mind was spinning too quickly. Nothing was working. Izuku decided to do one last thing. Izuku could hear Rick coming up the stairs. Then he realized something. He doesn't have to fully, show everything. They'll find a way out. It's just a matter of time. And as if fate was on his side, Daryl pulled out a grenade, a freaking grenade, out of nowhere and handed it to Rick. Then it was just pieces of the puzzle finally coming together. They escaped through the broken window, even though Izuku's ears were ringing and he couldn't hear nor sense anything. Then he had to think about shifting back into a smaller form. He hadn't had to do that for, what was it again? Months? A year? Izuku had no idea. But he really had to think about it now. As soon as he shifted into his smaller form, it was Daryl, picked him up by his collar and flung him into the car. Izuku hit the window, nose first, then fell back. Izuku howled in pain. His poor nose, it hurt, it stung. Izuku could smell and taste the blood coming from his nose. His nose was officially fucked for a few weeks. Then everything just fell. The explosion happened. The heat from it filled the area, and Izuku's ears bled more. The sound, the smell, everything overdid it for him. Izuku was writhing on the ground. He couldn't think. It was as if the fog from the explosion flooded into his head. No, maybe his brain just expanded and was now pressing against his skull, beating and begging to be let free. Then, without his realization, the car started to move. Daryl looked over, his heart pumping faster from the explosion and everything else, but now it was pumping even more. The poor dog was writhing on, the floor and on the cushion. The dog was basically howling in pain. He looked over to the window. There was blood. Damn it, Daryl muttered as he realized that the poor dog's nose probably hit the window first before falling back. And what he could remember is that the dog's ears were as sensitive as his nose, and probably 10 times more as well. Poor dog, you're probably bleeding all over the place, he muttered. Daryl didn't really care if the dog was bleeding all over his car. There was enough blood, vomit, and shit in this poor truck to make a man gag. But the dog itself, god damn it, is probably just wanting to die around this time, from the explosions and being flung face first into the window. He looked over, and his eyes widened. Now, Daryl was pretty happy that he got black tinted windows, because if anyone saw this, they'll probably drive off right into the woods from their own sheer stupidity or fear. The dog became a man, and now this man was writhing, his nose bloodied and his ears bleeding, and now a more human scream left his throat. The man was clutching onto his head, just shaking it back and forth. And all Daryl could do was watch the road and stare at the man, which took both different types of concentration. The road was endless, with a few spattered zombies here and there, but it didn't matter. His truck either crushed them or drove right past them. For now, all he could do really was pay attention to the man. The man had green, curly, floppy hair that went down to his shoulders. The man's skin was pale, almost, translucent in a way. And the man was strong. He could see the rippling muscles around his body. The man looked around 24 or early 30s at least. No gray hair yet. And he had spatters of freckles on his face. And what you could see, probably around the body as well. And the man's teeth, perfectly healthy. And the only reason why Daryl could see his teeth was basically because the man was screaming his lungs out. Daryl had to do something. If he kept screaming, it would drive everyone's attention over here. So he reached down and pulled off his belt. The clinking of the belt went unnoticed by the green-haired man. And without realization from the green-haired man, he bit down on Daryl's belt. The screaming ceased, but the man kept writhing. "Oh, damn it, Izuku, turn back. Then Daryl saw it. A bright neon yellow backpack was between the man's legs, and it had the familiar key. It looked like the keychain that the dog always wore around its neck. Oh my god, if I didn't see this with my own eyes, I wouldn't believe this shit. He wanted to flip this car around and run out, and scream his head off, because this should not be possible. Absolutely should not be possible. Hell, he should be high as a fucking kite to even be seeing this. But Daryl knows that he is not high, because, one, he hasn't had his own fix in, months, and Merle guarded his stash with his own life like a dragon to its hoard. This was unbelievable. But at least the guy's screaming stopped. And no one's attention was drawn over here, luckily. Daryl went through the console on the man's side, and there was baby wipes. Thank the Lord. Baby wipes were basically angels sent from heaven for Daryl. They were needed on many occasions, either to clean up his own face or his weapons. But this time it's going to use to clean up this poor guy. It was going to be hard to do, but Daryl, when he was younger, did some cheap shots with his own car, so this should be easy in theory. Daryl pulled up his legs, so the wheel was in between them. He tested it out, and the car drew fine. Then Daryl twisted his body and looked over to the man fully. He could see more about him. The hair wasn't just green. It had green. It was mainly just green, but there were a few black streaks in it. And the hair was not just curly. It was basically a mess. A, honestly, really good-looking mess. And the hair wasn't really oily. It was semi-oily, at least, telling Daryl all that he needed to know. Now, the guy was no longer screaming, but he was whimpering. his eyes squeezed tightly. Daryl was careful. He wiped the blood from wherever he can reach. It took a good 30 minutes for the guy to open his eyes, but there were still flickers of blood on him. Then, as if he realized that he was human, he looked right over to Daryl, shock evident on his features. "I'm fucked, aren't I?" The man's gravelly voice left his throat as the belt slipped onto his lap. And guys, this will be the ending of part 9 of What If Izuku Was a Wolf Dog. I really hope you guys liked it. And, well, I hope you all have a good night or day. Toodaloo.